Yeah.
Okay, let's do elder.
Okay.
Now, we've talked about elder on the program before, and as far as I'm concerned, we can't talk enough about
Good. I'm
elder.
glad you feel that way because I love this plant. This
Yeah.
this this is definitely one of my plant allies. As you can see from the photo, or I'm not sure how well you can see that on TV, it's actually a shrub. So it does have a woody stalk and base to it. It's native. It isn't native to the U.S., although there's also European species, and at this point in time, a lot of them have crossbred, and they're actually particularly, I think, challenging sometimes to tell apart. But either way, they both have the same medicinal qualities to them. Where do they like to grow? Really mixed bags in the wild. We'll often find them in what I call sort of roadsides. I think they like kind of half sun, half shade, so you often see them blooming in the springtime along the roads. They also like water.
Streams.
Right, so
Remember that
stream
eagle
beds.
feather we have
Yeah.
all along the stream.
They love that. And one of the things I tell my students, kind of joking but serious at the same time, like one of the best ways to harvest elderberries is to go canoeing during elderberry season because they really will hang down over the edges of the stream beds, and you can kind of bring your bags and sort of pull the berries down because they can be challenging sometimes to find good, even though they're very abundant, to find good places to harvest because one, they're on roadsides, which we don't really want to harvest plants along roadsides, or they're on these sort of stream banks that can be challenging to access.
They're a nice umbel, the flower, and then the berries become
Yeah,
these bright purple, red.
yeah. So I actually have some.
Which
I
is
have
what
some.
we're looking at in the picture, too.
Right. So at the
Right.
moment in the picture, we're looking at the clusters of the berries. In the springtime, I think of them usually June. Does that sound right, koi pine? Blooming kind of in June.
Yeah.
And they have these clusters of, probably, I don't know, a good number of little tiny sort of cream-colored flowers. And those clusters of flowers then turn into what you're seeing in the photo, these clusters of really almost like purple-black berries. I've got some dried samples here. This is, well, not very exciting to look at, but it's you can kind of see as if they dry, the flowers. If we looked at this really close, you would see there are actually lots of little tiny individual flowers that dry to this sort of yellowish color. And then you can also, if you don't harvest your own, you can also you can buy dried elderberries too, and you can kind of see how even like black they are there. Yeah.
Well, let's just touch base with some of the uses. We want to use it as a preventative, as well as this one can be used while you're starting to get sick. So one of Sandy's favorites is syrup. I think
You
Corey
remember?
Pine. You might also be doing some syrup work. Elderberry syrup on top of blueberry pancakes. Wow, off the chart, guys. And you're getting a lot of medicinal value from that. Plus
Using your food as medicine.
yeah, plus the blueberries for your antioxidant situation. So that's pushes this one plant, as far as I'm concerned, into the category of great. And if you've never taken it, this is an opportunity to deal with it. What are the properties, the anti-properties that this would have for Corey Pine?
I feel like both the flower and the berry are both great antivirals.
Virals, okay.
Yeah, the berry is a bit more, well, the berry can be used more preventatively or treatment for simple cold, flu. I have it in my cold and flu blend, thusly. Works well as a tincture, fresh or dry, works well as a syrup, probably make a good tea out of it. I know there's a lot of research done about 10 years ago. I've been using elderberry for years, and it's kind of come into popularity a lot in the past 5 or 10 years. Since I think it was some Israeli research that showed that elderberry had really strong antiviral functions. And I always thought of it as a pretty gentle herb. What's nice about elderberry, it has a moistening property to it, as opposed to elderflower, which is a bit more drying. So if you're starting to get like a little bit of a sinus infection, a little bit of congestion, along with a viral infection, the elderflowers might be nice. Elderflowers will help dry out that excess mucus. Or elderflowers can also be used as a diaphoretic, which is an herb that makes you sweat. So someone who has a fever and you want to kind of sweat out the fever, bring up the fever in order to create a healing crisis and relieve it, elderflowers would be more indicated. Elderberries, just better as just an all-around immune tonic with a bit of a moistening property to it as well.
Great.
You guys have?
Yeah, it's interesting. I've actually
What?
don't think I've ever tinctured it. Well, like Robert was saying, I kind of am obsessed with elderberry syrup. So not only because it just tastes good, it just in general. I mean, I use tinctures often, but I love to experiment with other ways of eating and using my herbs too that aren't alcohol based. So I'm a huge fan of the syrup, and I actually like making it. Sometimes I'll harvest in the, so the berries tend to August, depending on how hot, how dry it is, ripen in August or so. And sometimes during harvest season, I don't actually have time to make berries. So one thing you can do, you can actually just pop them in the freezer and use them when you're ready to make syrup. But often I'll make a large batch of syrup in the fall, and I'll freeze it. I'll freeze the extra, and usually in like half-pint jars, and then I just start taking it kind of preventatively. Like maybe I'll take a teaspoon a day, just sort of as a high vitamin C, antiviral, boosts the immune system. Just it's a good against flu viruses if there's things going around. And Robert asked me before the show started, would you take it just once a day, or if you had an active cold, would you take it more? And so if I actually had an active, felt like something more serious was coming on, or active cold or flu, I would probably take it 2 or 3 times a day. It's a really safe plant to use over a long period of time. It's safe for all ages. It's a great one for kids, especially the syrup too, because it tastes good. And I'm just a huge fan of it.
Okay, and as we have indicated on the screen, if anybody would like to call in a question about reishi, astragalus, or elderberry, flower and berries, they could call 505-2806. Great. Let's move on. Which of the ones do you think we would like to go to next?
Osha.
Oh, you went to Osha.
Osha.
Yeah.
Maybe if we have some time at the end, I want to hear if you have a good elderberry syrup recipe to share with folks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
If we have time. Should I,
Go ahead.
Should you expound on Osha?
Yeah,
Let
Osha.
me expound on Osha here.
Well, number one, it's not in this area, guys.
Yes.
That's number one. So this is Southwest.
That's where I'm from.
Colorado, New Mexico, a little bit in Arizona, probably in Utah too. Utah? Yeah. Yeah, it's in the carrot family. It kind of has a look like a carrot plant. I don't know if you've ever grown carrots in the garden, but they have that flowers are in an umbel. You can kind of see here, it looks like an upside down umbrella. Or maybe even a right side up umbrella.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it kind of looks right side up.
It's
Today.
a right side up umbrella this time around. And it grows at high elevations in mostly around the southern Rocky Mountains. This is taken right at the border of Colorado, Wyoming. And it grows a little bit into Wyoming, but then kind of stops. And it's a great root. The Navajo Dene, they call it chuchupate, which means bear medicine. And it's strong stuff. I mean, it's spicy, it's aromatic, it's probably one of my favorite antivirals. If it wasn't so hard for me to get, I would probably use it more.
That's the key. We need to have more connections between Osha and Asheville. And one of the combinations that OSHA works well with is not as echinacea, is it not?
Yes.
So we don't even have echinacea on our list. But just for those people who might be going out into the health food stores, buying both OSHA and buying echinacea and taking a half a dropper of each with some vitamin C. The C seems to be a good kicker for this plant, is what I would recommend. What else, Sandy?
Yeah, I'm interested, Corey, to hear more about your uses of it. I tend to use it at the real, just very beginning stages of usually sore throat. And that's where things usually react right away. And if they're trying to come into my body, is right at the throat. And I actually do fairly low doses of it, even just a few drops. It is really potent. It's very spicy. It's very resinous. It has a strong, intense energy to it. And so I will just do even 5 to 10 drops 3 to 4 times a day, sort of in that real acute stage. Really, maybe just like the first inklings of something coming on, and maybe even into the next day or so. And then I've always kind of tended to move on to other things after that kind of initial stage. I haven't used it a lot for respiratory or chest stuff, so I'm interested to hear. I know Corey Pine probably uses it more that way. And that's partly is because I'm just not a chest respiratory person myself. I don't get a lot of stuff in my chest.
So, Corey Pine?
I just love it for that kind of stuff where like you have congestion in the chest. It's not so much for like the deeper lung stuff. Like I wouldn't use it for like maybe the early stages of bronchitis, but not for like a bronchitis that's set in or pneumonia. But for a chest cold, it's kind of the ideal time to use OSHA, where you have some congestion, you feel cold. OSHA is warming and stimulating. It's going to kind of get that phlegm moving and get it stirred up.
Out of the body.
And out of the body.
Quick as possible, yeah.
Right. Break it up, move it up, get it out.
Yeah.
And it's also, I know, I've talked to Jessica Godino about this before. I know Jessica used this for allergies, which I haven't really tried before, but apparently it's great for allergic conditions. I have actually seen some first aid times where I saw someone use this for a snake bite. I feel like it had some good effect, again, combined with echinacea. So for allergies, for congestion, but you wouldn't use it where there's like dryness. You would use it kind of more where there's like congestion and stagnation to kind of warm things up and get things moving.
Okay. Well, that is a lot of information, folks.